Welcome back to the Texas of Trav YouTube channel. So in this one, guys, we're playing black, and white's queen just took our queen on e1. So let's do material count first before we dive deep into this. So we now have 3 pawns. White has 2. Our king's in check. So, well, I mean, we got to take the queen, right? So if queen takes e1, what's the follow-up? This is a nice in-game puzzle. So king takes e1. Maybe king to e5. Now I want to look at this more conceptually just because these endgame puzzles are really tricky. And if we attack this like the same way we do with middle game puzzles, it might be more difficult. So I want to look at the concepts, like as opposed to just very granular type of thought process. So if king takes e1, what's white going to try to do? White's king is probably going to try to go to e6, maybe d5, get behind the c7 pawn because the pawns are doubled. Our pawns are doubled, so our b5 and b6 pawn are just at the mercy of just basically whatever white can come up with. Well, what's interesting though, after king takes d1, that just struck me is if, let's say that white goes king to e5, we can immediately start advancing our pawns. Like our c7 pawn can go to c5 and we can just make a run for it. Because I wonder if white's king can get back in time. So let's just calculate that out. So if king takes e1, king e5, c5, and what if b takes c5? If b takes c5, now we can undouble our pawns and go b6 takes c5. And if he tries king to d5 to try to take out our c5 pawn, then we just push it to c4. And that's going to make a break for it. Like he can't stop it. So that pawn would become unstoppable. So let's take a look at, let's start from the top. So we know that line is good. King takes e1, king e5, c5. What if king d5 right away instead of trading off? Well, then we still just push c4, and he can't stop it. I don't know if there's any way you can stop this. Looks pretty good so far, guys. So the doubled pawns help us in this case, because if white's b4 pawn takes our pawn out on c5, we undouble our pawns and we still end up, well, we end up with connected pawns. I was going to say we end up with 2 connected passed pawns, but the b pawn is technically not passed because white has the a2 pawn. So king takes e1, king e5, c5, and what if he goes king to e4? King to e4 to try to get around us, try to circumvent the c pawn. So if he does that, we can go back with king d2 to make sure that he can't circle around. So I think that would be our response to king e4, would be to go king d2. And then it doesn't matter if he takes our pawn on c5, because remember, we have the b6 pawn that just takes back. So like, let's say in that line, king takes e1, king e5, c5, e4, king d2. And if b takes c5, b takes c5, king d5, it's just the same thing. We just push c4. I think that's it, guys. I think we solved the problem. I'm just going to go ahead and make the move and see what chess.com says. So king takes e1. Okay, so it was king e5. And our move that we calculated is c5. Yep, that's it. And the b pawn takes. And we take back. And he goes king to d5. That was the first line. Or excuse me, I took back here. And then white goes here. Now we push. And he can't stop it. Okay, he's going here. And now we need to move our king to d2 because now he can't go in front of the pawn with king to c3. So we're just going to move here. Now he moves a4. I'm surprised the puzzle's still going. I guess it's still worth going because if we took b5 takes a4, that would, I believe that's a blunder because then he's going to take our pawn on c4 and he'll be able to stop the a pawn. So let me just explain that. So if we were to fall for it, b5 takes a4, king takes c4, and let's say we're trying to make a dash for it with a3, he can go king b3 and stop our pawn from promoting. And if we try king to c2, instead of just immediately pushing a3, he can go king to b4 and we're going to be too late in being able to advance it. So that's why we just ignore it altogether and just push c3. So that's what I would play, is c3, because even if we're going to queen first before he does, and we'll be able to stop this pawn. So I'm going to push c3. And that's correct. He takes back here. Still going. The puzzle's still going. Okay, we're going to push. He's going to push. Little pawn race. Queen. Okay, now it ended. Finally. Surprised it kept going. So that's +6. It's a 2202 rated problem with a 52.8% pass rate. That was a good in-game puzzle. All right, on to the next.